Welcome to Walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog on this September 12th, 2025. Two days after Charlie Kirk's assassination, which I still can't believe we're saying that. Well, here we are. Indeed, here we are. Not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful sunny day today. The high today was 75. It's about 72 right now. Absolutely beautiful. There's the limping crow I've been seeing. He's always hopping around on one foot, basically. He's wounded. He can fly, though. So anyway, crazy times we're living in. I told you a lot of things were going to happen this year, and they're going to happen fast. Unfortunately, we're not done yet. And this is the beginning of a cavalcade of events we're going to see. The other thing I want to mention is this car right here has been sitting unmoved for 2-3 weeks now. And you can see sand underneath the car that hasn't been washed away by the rain. And the guy that owned that car, I've seen him a few times. He's not from around here. So I don't know if he's hiding or if he got picked up. Just thought I'd mention it. It's something I noticed. So anyways, my friends, went to the airport earlier today and picked up my younger brother. We're going to have a nice range day tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, what I'm seeing on the internet right now with Charlie Kirk is really irritating me, because it's kind of going in a direction I did not expect. Now, I expected the left to make asses out of themselves, and they held true to that. They held up my expectations just wonderfully, actually. And they behaved even worse than I thought they would. But that is what is expected from idiots, morons, and simpletons with hate in their hearts, which just proved everything Charlie Kirk said about them was true, which is the irony in that, actually. So, what do we know about the shooter? We get the shooter now. We get the shooter. I woke up this morning and I saw Trump on Fox and Friends, so I put it on. I was getting ready for my day. And he said they had him. And he said they would be talking about it at a press conference later on, which they did. Unfortunately, I still have not caught the entire thing, so forgive me if I mention something that's incorrect. I had it on for about 20 minutes and then I had to go. And they were running late. I tried to wait for them. So anyway, I think I caught up on most of the info. I'll turn the camera around here and mention that we're going to have to pick up the slack for Charlie Kirk. Hi everybody. We're going to have to pick up the slack. And that doesn't mean you and I, because we're pretty involved anyway. If you're watching this and you care about what I'm saying, you're probably involved good enough or well enough. Now, what I'm talking about is the youth, young people. People like Barron Trump, that age group. They love Charlie Kirk. This has hit them really hard. This has hit them harder than it has hit us, okay? I'll just put it that way. So they're going to carry the torch for Charlie because they loved Charlie. Charlie motivated them, and they're going to be more involved than they were. And I just saw a guy on TV. He's one of the Turning Point USA young people that are going to be one of the ones carrying on. Now, make no mistake, there's only one Charlie Kirk, okay? They're not going to try to emulate him, but they're going to take what he built and make it bigger and better. And President Trump said today that after the assassination, people were donating money to Turning Point USA. And he was like, well, what do we do with it? Do we put it in Turning Point USA? Do we give it to the family? What do we do with it? So that's a good problem to have, I think. So anyway, they're going to have to carry on, and I think this is going to inspire a lot of young people that loved Charlie Kirk and were converts, and they understand that Charlie Kirk sacrificed his life for them, because everybody has seen Charlie Kirk's videos where he said that the left are violent They can't debate. They can't have conversations because they don't have any footing to do that. Because everything they preach and believe is bullshit, basically. And it's easily disproven with facts. So, what you're going to get now is a bunch of young people that understand, because Charlie said so. He said, they're going to come at me. I have to have security, and because at the core of every leftist liberal is violence, and he knew this. He said he has a security team because he knows they're violent, and he said they are going to use weapons to silence me. You, them. And they did. But they did not silence him, did they? Charlie Kirk is probably going to end up having nationwide campus events with his name on the banner, but he won't be there physically. But this will carry on. The left doing this has made him stronger. Just my opinion. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is something important. Let me get up the hill here. I almost had enough sleep last night, but not quite. But I think I'm still going to do 6 miles today. We're close to it. Anyway, the killer, Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson. A lot of people have the mindset of, well, we don't want to mention him or say his name or to give him glory. And I'm like, well, he's the guy that did it. It's not giving him glory. You know, he's a bastard. So anyway, this guy shot Charlie Kirk, killed him. He used an M18 Mauser 30-06 polymer stock. It's pretty obvious that he unattached the barrel and receiver, had that down his pants, probably came into the event with it down his pants. The sticking point I have, and it's the only one I have, and it's not a conspiracy, is that type of rifle, the only thing you would need a screwdriver for, and it's the only thing you would need it for, are the 2 bolts that hold the polymer stock on to the receiver. The newer M18 Mausers have a bolt that goes through the stock, but it's held on by kind of a barrel nut, like a bushing kind of thing, which tightens with a hex key, I guess. That's what it looked like to me. But the older ones were your traditional Phillips head, you know, screws, 2 screws. Almost all stocks these days, going back 20-30 years, I held on with 2 screws. ranging from 22s to high-powered rifles, a Ruger American Ranch, Marlin 30-06 polymer stock. Pretty much they all have 2 bolts that hold the stock onto the body, the frame, the receiver and barrel assembly. So with that, we had people online making a good point. How did he get the rifle in? Well, I absolutely don't have any issue with taking the receiver and barrel part, which is very small when you take it out of the stock. You basically just got a long pipe. You got a long pipe for the barrel where it attaches to the receiver. Then you have the receiver, and the receiver is very thin, and it has an apparatus that comes down with the trigger group, the assembly for that. So that would be very easy to put down your pants in a way where you'd put that down your pants. You'd have the barrel go all the way down the side of your leg, down into your shoe. So your shoe would hold the tip of the barrel in place, and you would have to walk with a stiff leg like you see in the video. You'd have a limp like this. And I'll show you when this car goes by. But it's clearly obvious that that's what he did. And he was walking with a stiff leg like this. So that's what you see in the video of him walking after the shooting. I want to see video before the shooting, and I haven't seen any video of him arriving there, going upstairs, because you can see him going upstairs in the pictures they released. So I just want to know more. I was thinking maybe he put the stock in the backpack. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is they found a screwdriver on the roof where he was lying down in a prone position to take his shot. So he obviously needed the screwdriver, and there's nothing on that rifle that needs a screwdriver. So it's already sighted in. There's no use for it other than to put the 2 bolts in to hold the stock on. So it's very obvious he had the stock off the rifle. Okay. I don't know where he had the stock. Did he go up on that roof a day or 2 before and stash the stock in a hiding place? Because that's what I'm guessing. Because it is not going to fit in a backpack. By about 8 inches would stick out of the bag. No matter how you put it in the backpack, that's not going to fit in there. It's not a collapsible stock. So anyway, just questions I had. My guess, which we don't know, just my assumption, is that somehow he got the stock in there ahead of time and then brought the receiver with the barrel later. That's my guess. That way you could put the 2 bolts you need right into the receiver part assembly, and then just unscrew it once you're up there, put the bolt on, and then tighten the screws. It wouldn't affect sighting, it wouldn't affect anything. So that has to be what he did. So I don't think he could have an entire rifle down his pants, I guess is my point. And I mean, if he wore like really, really extra baggy pants, he could probably hide that. But it looked like he had loose-fitting jeans, and he's walking down the road limping. So he's definitely got the barrel down in his shoe, running up his pant leg. It's obvious. Now, a lot of people are like, well, did he hurt himself jumping off the roof? That's why he was limping? Maybe he didn't have a rifle down his pants. Maybe he legitimately was limping. I don't know what condition he was in when they arrested him. He did jump down a long way, but after he jumped, he looked to me like he was running pretty good. He was pretty spry. It didn't look like he injured himself. And you could see that he had the rifle wrapped in a black cloth, which is the towel they said they found it in. So we need to find out more information. So if he left the screwdriver up on the roof, he didn't have time to disassemble it. If he had time to disassemble it, according to the video I saw, he did not. It looked to me from the rooftop video I saw, there's a shot, and then you can see him running back, jumping off the roof. So he left the screwdriver there, probably in a panic. He's got adrenaline rush. Maybe he thought he had everything planned out. And I'll get to the reason why I say that. So anyway, he jumps off the roof. You can clearly see something long like a rifle wrapped in a black cloth, and you can see the end of the black cloth flopping around when he jumps. So he obviously had the rifle wrapped in a black cloth, okay? It got reported as a towel. Because they found the rifle in a towel in the woods. So they also found it with the shell casing not ejected. Then we saw the street video of him walking by with the limp. And then there was a video where he was going behind a dumpster from another security camera, a different one. It's a new video released. And he's going into the woods where they ended up finding the rifle. The woods are in proximity with the school. And he drove a gray Challenger. So, pretty nice car actually. Certainly not a piece of junk. They didn't say if he had it parked nearby and that's what he drove off with. They didn't say if he walked home, if he lived in proximity. There's a lot we still don't know. So I'm only going to talk about what we do know until we know more. Try to speculate as little as possible. Some people online did not like the FBI photo of the rifle used. They were trying to say, wow, look at that, isn't that convenient? The rifle has its box. The kid left the rifle in the wood with a box for a rifle. That's convenient. You know, they're already getting into conspiracy mode. The FBI forensics vans and stuff, they get these boxes. You know, they do bust, they do arrest. Sometimes they'll seize weapons, firearms, and they put them in a box. They label the box. There's no conspiracy there. These experts online watching this. Oh, look! The gun's in a box! The other conspiracy thing I saw was that scope is mounted wrong. The scope is mounted wrong. Something's not right here. How could he shoot that without hitting himself in the eye? Look how far back the scope is. Well, I've known people that mount their scopes on their rifle differently than I do. If you'll notice with this kid, I'll call him a kid, he's not very big, he's not very thick, you know, he's kind of kind of lean, you know what I mean? When you get the rifle here with the buttstock, this will be a good way to show it. You get the rifle here against my chest, the butt of this extension, and then you put your cheek on it like this. Some people shoot like this with their face straight. Some people tilt their head. Some people's focal points are different to the scope. So the scope has to be in a different place. So if I set it for me, and then somebody I know uses it, well, they feel like they have to come up closer to it because of the thickness of my chest. So you try to explain that to people online and they look at you cross-eyed and there's no correct way to set a scope, okay? First of all. Some people even set their scope with the crosshairs on an older scope off kilter. If you were going to hold it up and hold it straight like this, the scope will be off center. When somebody gets down, they tilt their head more, so they want the scope crosshairs tilted more. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different way to sight their rifle. So these people are arguing about that, and I'm like, hey, fucking moron. It obviously worked. Charlie Kirk's fucking dead. How fucking dumb do you have to be? So this is what it's evolved into now. Devolved, I should say. 2 days later, everything's a conspiracy. The scope is too far back. Something's off. Something's not right. The deep state is lying to us. It's like, man, come on. How fucking dumb are you people? Why can't it just be a young 20-something-year-old kid in college, got radicalized, grew up with rifles, had the fucking rifle already. It's already been verified it's his rifle. And he used it to kill somebody with. He went up on a rooftop, did what he did, and ran off. Why can't it just be that simple? Because, my friends, what I'm saying is that's exactly what happened. Sometimes shit just happens. There's no big conspiracy here with that at all. I've seen people online, where's his digital footprint? He's an MK Ultra CIA brainwashed plant that they used to kill Charlie Kirk because he's getting the Republicans too popular. They had to take him out. Fucking morons. Yes, MK Ultra was a program. Yes, they used LSD and other mind-altering drugs to brainwash and try to use people as weapons. That's a fact. That was during the Cold War. That's so fucking long ago, half the people in it are dead now from old age. So it's like, anyway, would they have something kind of program like that now? Who knows? I don't know. But this wasn't that. Anyway, they try to say he didn't have a digital footprint. Well, he did. He was on Discord. Discord are private servers. They go there because they have privacy. It's like creating your own internet. That's why it's so popular. You know, Facebook, you go make an account, you use the Facebook servers. On Discord, you make your own server, and whoever you invite to it, or what you make it into, it's your own private server. That's why it's popular. You can have just 20 people using it, or you could have 20,000. If your message is popular. So this guy belonged to a gaming one. Had to do with electronic gamers, okay? And Discord released information to CNN in a statement that they checked this guy's account and what he was doing, and he was not running around talking about doing crazy things. He wasn't posting racist content or any other kind of content having to do with violence. So, what did we have with the Catholic school, Catholic church shooter that shot the kids in prayer a couple of weeks ago? Seems like longer ago than that. It might be 3 weeks, but it wasn't that long ago. And that's why I said things are going to happen fast. So that person did not leave a digital footprint either, meaning he wasn't online bragging about what he was going to do. He left videos on YouTube when it came down to him doing what he was going to do. He left about 5 videos. And then he did what he did. He left those the day he did that while he was leaving to go do that. Before that, he didn't talk about it. Didn't give any indication. So that's the new thing. Everybody knows they'll trace you on the internet and they'll stop you before you get a chance to do it. And they don't want that. They want to be able to do it. So I mean, I'm not going to take comfort in thinking, oh, okay, Freddy the wacko down the street's running his mouth about shooting up a playground. He's nothing to worry about because he's not going to come out and say what he's going to do. Not these days. Well, that's obviously, if you say something, you got to say something. Now, this guy that did this to Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, somebody knew something and didn't say something. And highly doubtful it was the parents. A family member came out and said afterwards that since attending college he has become a lot more political. And not in a good way. So they said that he had a lot of anger towards Charlie Kirk. Said Charlie Kirk was a hateful person spreading hate. And things like that. So, but this family member said that he was surprised by that when he said that because it's a Republican household. And I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, hi.
Hi.
And so I'll get to that in a minute. The point I was making is somebody knew something because he texted his roommate. He texted his roommate and said he had to go back. I don't know what the context of the conversation is. I'll get to that in a minute. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, right? But he said he had to go back and get the rifle before somebody found it, is what he said. So why would you text your roommate that if you didn't know anything about what you were going to do? So there's something there. There's something there, more there than we know. It's either something as stupid as the kid said he went hunting and forgot his rifle somewhere and had to go back and get it to try to make an alibi or an excuse. Obviously, he didn't get back to it because they found the rifle. So they found it before he could go back to it. So how it is you get that street where he's limping, and then you see another camera from somebody else's camera where he's going behind a dumpster into the woods, and that's the woods they found the rifle in. So this guy is placed at the scene at the time with that limp. Whether the limp was a legitimate limp or not, we still don't know. But he probably had the rifle down his pants, the one that was wrapped in a black cloth when he jumped off the roof. He had a backpack, so he might have put the black cloth in there, shoved the rifle down his pants, and So there's a lot of stuff we got to find out, like how he got the stock and the rifle in there to begin with a limp that noticeable. So I think he had a softer limp when he went in, and he had the stock somewhere already. That's my guess. Probably wrong. It's not an official. Don't spread it as information. But the fact is, they found a screwdriver up there that was needed to assemble his rifle, quote unquote. That's what was said. So, and he left it there when he left. So, and he didn't have time to disassemble it. So there's that. That should be pretty obvious, I think. Okay, so the roommate. The roommate allegedly, from what I gathered, is not the one that notified. Well, I think he is. I think the roommate notified authorities. Again, I missed a lot of the press conference today, so forgive me. I had to leave. Now I'm trying to get a walk in before dark. I'll catch up on it later. But this is a daily walking vlog, and I'm just making my daily exercise entry. So what you see is what you get with me, folks. I'm not trying to pretend to be a know-it-all. So anyway, regardless, law enforcement did take photographs of the text after they were contacted. And then, now I don't know how the minister plays into it. Somebody that knew the kid from the family, in the family, or for the family. I don't know if it's their pastor. Informed a U.S. Marshal they knew who the kid was. So I think that's initially what started everything. And then they went to where the kid lived, and his roommate was there. So his roommate had those texts. He knew the jig was up. He just showed it to him. So here, and they took pictures of him. And then they went and talked to the father, which I think is where the minister came in. He might have known the family and might have decided that the law enforcement might have decided it'd probably be a good idea for the minister to talk to the father first. And obviously the father knew that it was his son. And the next part of this is interesting. So when did he know it was his son? How long did he wait before he came forward? And I say that because he's a sheriff. He's in law enforcement. The kid's dad is a sheriff. So obviously he got a bulletin, he saw the photographs, and any damn fool would recognize their own son, even in a grainy security snapshot. So maybe he just had a hard time dealing with it. But they said his father did turn him in. He turned him in, he talked him into turning himself in, is how I saw it or heard it. So that's all I know on that for right now. That's all that's important at the moment. Anything else is speculation. So it's a sad, tragic story because his kid's parents, and I'm going to get into the kid's politics. The kid's parents are Republicans. Obviously conservative. You can tell by looking at their photographs that were lifted off social media accounts of family members. It looks like this kid didn't use his own Facebook page. It looks like he didn't have one. But his family members used the Facebook. And that makes sense because currently Facebook is for boomers, old people. Young people really aren't using Facebook. So that makes sense. So family members had pictures of them vacationing to Alaska, at gun ranges. things like that. There's a picture of the shooter with a machine gun, big caliber one. So they were all, kid was well versed in firearms. And you could tell he was a good kid. You know, he went to school, did a good job. He got a scholarship worth over $30,000. I think it was 32 or 36,000. Full paid tuition. Because he was smart and brilliant. He's a good student. And the video clip I saw of him reading his letter, that I presume his mother is recording. I can't see who's recording it, but she's going, woohoo, you know, proud of her son. So it goes from that in 2022, 2023 to being radicalized after he's going to school and shooting somebody to death. So what happened? Well, the internet is, again, Democrats are desperately trying to prove it wasn't a Democrat, to the point where they know it's a leftist, because who else would shoot Charlie Kirk, okay? Besides, like I said on my last walk, somebody that was a drug dealer he owed money to or something. You know, nobody else is going to do that. So, other than the leftist, didn't like what he said. So that is obvious. It's obvious it was a political assassination. Very obvious. So that's the motive. You know, it's they don't like what he said. Goes against their beliefs. So he was radicalized in school. Now here's the other thing. Forget spider web I picked up. Here's the other thing that's important. Freaking spider webs hanging off the camera. So there we go, I got them. So the other thing that's important is Tyler Robinson's voter registration. A lot of this stuff is public knowledge. And so his voter registration is he's registered to vote, but he's non-party affiliated. Now in Utah, about half the voters are Republican, and a quarter of them are Democrats, and a quarter of them are unaffiliated. They don't belong to a party. This is important for the next part I'm going to discuss. Antifa. Anti-fascist. That's what Antifa stands for. This guy when talking about Charlie Kirk to a family member, he called Charlie Kirk a fascist. On Discord, he talked about Charlie Kirk as being a fascist. So when he shot Charlie Kirk, his shell casings were etched with things like "ha ha fascist" or "goodbye fascist." Another one of the shell casings, and you know, I don't have the exact wording, but it mentions fascist in that context. You know, like "bye bye" or "ha ha." The last round they had in the magazine was labeled "ha ha, you're gay," which is something a young person would say, a young man, as a joke. You know, "Oh, you're so gay, you're gay," you know. So that was a message intended for and Charlie Kirk. So another thing that was said was one of them had an Italian kind of a fight song, and it was an anti-fascist song from old Italy around World War II time. I'm not sure if it was before, I'm guessing it was, or during, but that's the current theme song for Antifa, this song. Antifa, anti-fascist. Charlie Kirk's a fascist. Trump's a fascist. Republicans are fascist. So this guy had no love for Republicans. And he was not registered as a Democrat. And he was not registered as a Republican. He was unaffiliated. But there can be little doubt that he was radicalized, and he leaned on the side of being against what Charlie Kirk was saying. So he obviously became radicalized with far left extremism. It doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. So while the rest of the internet world tries to grasp the fact that he hated Charlie Kirk, leaned towards leftist beliefs, but wasn't a Democrat or a Republican, they seem to be confused by that, because you're supposed to be one or the other. Nope. So the internet right now is just full of conspiracy theory to the point of being annoying, and quite honestly, I'm tired of it. Some of you people sound like complete, utter fucking morons. Somebody even posted a picture of this kid when he was a kid, a little kid, 2017. They posted a picture of him in a Donald Trump costume from his first term. He's got Republican parents. So my answer to that was, so if I was a kid and I had a Superman costume, that means I worship and would vote for Superman? I mean, it's Halloween. It literally means nothing. So, hey, how are you?
Good, yourself?
Pretty good. So, with that, I mean, on the internet, that's supposed to indicate guilt. It's supposed to indicate this, that, or the other thing. You know, just like when Donald Trump has a picture of Ivanka Trump when she was a little girl sitting on his lap. You know, they say really crude things like, see, he wanted to F his daughter back then. Look at this picture. He's smiling, enjoying his daughter sitting on his lap after making a joke that if he was a single guy and that wasn't his daughter, he'd go out with her. It's a simple comment. A lot of dads have made comments about that. He didn't say he wanted to bang his daughter, but that's what the left turned it into. And that's what I'm trying to say. You know, there's pictures of a lot of people with Jeffrey Epstein, for example. It doesn't mean they went to the island. It doesn't mean that they knew Epstein past taking a picture with him. There's a picture of Epstein with Elon Musk, with a whole bunch of people. It doesn't mean anything. But conspiracy theory internet, oh, see, we told you, look at the picture. Morons. So anyway, there's a lot of fake pictures circulating today of Tyler Robinson. One of them was wearing a shirt for the Democrat Socialists of America. It's a different guy, okay? Kind of resembles him, maybe. It's not him. There's another one where they took the picture of this kid standing in front of his bed in a maroon shirt, and they composited a Donald Trump t-shirt on him. And it's a good Photoshop. It looks real, but it's fake. So there are a lot of deep fakes on the internet right now. And I'm going to urge you to not look at anything and believe it, okay? Just don't. Trust but verify. And I always trust but verify, and I got to tell you, it's getting more difficult to do that because they're getting really good at these fakes. So be very careful. I don't have to tell you the story about the helicopter that hit the airplane again. The short version of it is a few million people on the internet thought a trans National Guard helicopter pilot that does exist flew her helicopter into the plane on purpose because there was another incidence of trans violence, and she was taking herself out and she was going to take people with her. She was going to unalive herself. That turned out to be completely false. In so many ways, it's ridiculous. Then we had an official news outlet, NBC, had a reporter on the scene. A couple ambulances were going by. She said, it was just revealed to us from a source that I can't name that they found survivors from the plane wreck. And they were being rushed to a helipad to be flown for treatment. And they were, quote unquote, pulling survivors out of the water. Well, anybody that had anybody on that plane got some glimmer of hope until it was revealed everybody was dead. So it was like, why was NBC reporting that if they didn't verify it as being true first? Because they got to get it out there first so they can make their ad revenue. It's about money. You got to beat the other guy, the competitor. So they don't verify anything anymore. You just get it out there. Get it out there. Get it out. Who cares if it's true or not? We'll issue a correction at 3 o'clock in the morning when nobody's watching or reading. So, anyway, that's how ridiculous things are. So we definitely need to trust but verify. I'm going to turn the camera around because my arms are tired. But you'll still hear me anyways. So my friends, happy you're here. And guys, I gotta tell you, we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, and this is going to be crazy. It seems like every other day we got something new to talk about. Good, sometimes bad. The media right now is trying to find their footing after the Charlie Kirk assassination. I'm watching them today, and they're trying to be more careful with their words. But you and I both know it wasn't even 48 hours, and Elon Omar was saying stuff like Charlie Kirk was full of shit anyway, and whatever happened to him, he brought on himself. I'm like, what? Stephen King made some kind of asinine comments, and these people just cannot help themselves. Cannot help themselves. Bill Baldwin made stupid comments. He just came right out and said it was a Republican that did it, which is false. Just because the parents are Republican doesn't mean the kids are too. But I can tell you, Antifa influenced this kid. Antifa is a far left extremist organization. and they need to be put on the terrorist watch list, domestic terrorist list. That needs to happen. Too many Democrats try to defend it. Oh, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's random. No, it's not. It's not. They're organized. They meet online, they organize. If you had Republicans doing the same thing, they'd be crying a different tune. And that's part of the problem. Squirrel's got a nut. The squirrel has a nut. So anyways, got range day tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and should be a hoot. Some plants. They get some plants over there. Oh man, I tell you, what a crazy world. Absolutely freaking crazy. Batshit bizarro. Woo, 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 woo. Barking dog. Boo! Well, get this walk in the books. Take a hot shower. I got sweat running down my back. One of those in-between days. It's 72 degrees, but the air is dry. It feels cool. And the sun's going down, so I wore a long sleeve with a shirt on top. And I think I should have just worn a long sleeve. Or even just a short sleeve. I thought about it, but I felt like it was getting cool. So tomorrow, I'm going to the range. I have a drone to try out, a 360 camera to try out, and then my regular film footage I shoot. And maybe in between all that, I may have time to shoot a magazine or two. You know, that's the drawback of being the person that records all this stuff all the time. That's why in the family albums there's hardly any pictures of me, because I'm always the one that took pictures of everybody else. I've just always been designated that person. So I'll get whatever footage I can. I'm not going to spend my whole time shooting footage, I can tell you that much. I'll get some footage. I definitely want to try out the drone, see what kind of shot I can get with that. Don't think it's going to be windy tomorrow, so it'll be one of those things where I could hover above somebody that's shooting which I think is just going to be my brother and I. My older brother and sister-in-law are not coming because my sister-in-law is getting baptized. I'm kind of happy about that. We've had that discussion on this walk. I'm a Catholic. I was baptized when I was born because you can't get into heaven if you're not baptized. That's true with all of the Christian faiths because it says so in the Bible. So I know for a fact my older brother was baptized, my younger brother was baptized, and I was baptized as well with holy water. So now some Christian sects state that you have to be born again and get rebaptized. That's a bunch of hogwash. It's not what the Bible says. They just want you to do it so you join their church or something. So anyway, it's a good thing that she's doing that. That's good at this point in time in history to quote unquote get your ass right with God. These things are crazy. What happened to Charlie Kirk could happen to anybody. So hi.
How you doing?
How are you? So anyway, we're gonna head back home to the ranch, and right now there's a pretty big resurgence of Christianity, and I think the left is doing that. I think people are seeing the evils of the left, and they're like, you know what? Evil is a real thing. The devil, Satan, all this stuff. And, you know, it kills me. I see this kid, Tyler Robinson, that shot Charlie Kirk. And I saw a video of him 2022 talking about the scholarship that I mentioned earlier in the walk. There's a video of him reading that letter. A scholarship valued at 30 whatever thousand. And the mother's like, woohoo, you know. She's saying woohoo because they don't have to pay for that on a sheriff's salary. So anyway, you look at him and he looks alive, happy, excitement in his eyes. He's got a gleam in his eye, all happy and excited. And then you see his mugshots. It's got that empty, dead look, you know? That look a lot of these leftists have. You know, it's like, you know, was he possessed? You know, was his soul corrupted by evil? I mean, you'd have to say yes. From what I know of this moment, there's no indication of mental illness or depression or strange behavior. He was a good student, communicated with people well. Now we'll find out if he was a loner. There has to be some degree of that, I think, because, you know, he's being left to his own devices in his own little world on his computer. And I'm sure they're going to find out other places that he hangs out on the internet. They'll probably explain a lot more. So, but that's only if he talks about it. I'm sure they're going to do some deep data mining with warrants and subpoenas, and I'm sure they have his devices already and all that stuff. So, well, you know, something had to happen to take a good kid like that and lead it to doing this stuff. And there's obviously something we don't know there. So we got a tennis ball on the lawn here. See that? That comes from the tennis court. So what I'm gonna, well, too many cars. So I was gonna cross the street and throw it back. Years ago, I could throw that back from here, but there's another one outside the fence over there. Wrong time of day. Wrong time of day. I'll put this on the side here. Maybe somebody will pick it up. Years ago, that would be an easy toss. And it could be a toss again if I actually would practice ahead of time and get the muscles trained for it again. But when you're young, you don't have to do that. So I don't know what the oldest we've ever seen anybody pitch in Major League Baseball. And if they did pitch, they were throwing what you call junk, slop, sling and slop. Crazy, ridiculous, low-speed curveballs or knuckleballs. The knuckleball pitchers pitched a long time because they didn't really have to throw hard. Yep, Stephen King, what a fucking bastard. I don't even remember what he said, but I was like, you fucking bastard. Isn't that terrible? I'm mad at him and I don't even remember what he said. I just know it was bad and it pissed me off. Had to do with Charlie Kirk, you know? Liberals really don't like to think. They really don't. They don't sit there and ponder about things. Everything with them is feelings, emotion. That's why they're violent. Oh, the hell with it, guys. You know, what the hell are we gonna do, really? What can we do? Keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on till it's our turn to not breathe. Everybody's gonna have a turn at that. But yes, you know, get your ass right with God, because it matters. Which is my opinion, my view. But anyway, we're gonna have fun shooting tomorrow. We got all kinds of jugs. Got a couple of 5-gallon water jugs, 4-gallon one. We got quite a few of these not soybean, but canola oil, cooking oil jugs. They gotta be 4 gallons. And I say that because I filled up a 2.5 gallon one, and I think that almost 2 of those could fit inside one of those canola oil things. So it doesn't have any markings on it to tell you what the capacity is, but it's definitely close to that. So anyways, it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow. It's gonna be another beautiful day. That's all we've had all summer. Absolutely beautiful days. Now I will say, for the first 6 months, every weekend we had bad weather. That has not been the case lately. In fact, we haven't had any bad weather. We had a couple days of rain about a week ago, but we certainly did not get the amount of, anywhere near the amount of rain we needed. Wow. 4 miles. I forgot I did my little extended route today. So we're at 4 miles right now. So we're definitely going to have 6 today. So after today, after about 3, maybe 4 more walks after today, I'm going to be at 900 miles for the year. Walk down this way. So I will be right around 900 miles. I'm at about 875 right now. Oh, so that means maybe 3 more days. I do a lot of rounding off. So if I'm at 874.6, I'll just round it to 875. You round off to the nearest 0, and if you're at the halfway point at 5, you round it off to the next higher up. That's how that works. In other words, $3.87 is actually $4, if you follow what I'm saying. So if you pick up what I'm laying down, man, I'll walk down this way. We'll cut across. It's a cool little place here. Nice old lady lives here. The size of those apples. Those to me look too big to be crab apples. All kinds of stuff popping out. All kinds of stuff popping out. I got sweat dripping down from my hat on my neck. It's definitely warm today. Today was a carbon copy of September 11th, 2001. Everybody remembers that sunny morning over New York, not a cloud in the sky. That's exactly what we got. Same day. Same kind of day. And it's September 12th. Look at this. We got chickens. Hi, chickens. So we get some chickens in there. Cock-a-doodle-doos. So anyway, that's a crazy, messed up world we're living in, folks. Right now I'm feeling this walk. Like I said, I slept maybe 5 hours, which is enough, really. Typically I like to have 6. Close enough. So today we drove by one of the rivers here on the way here, and I was really taken aback by how low the water is. It's very, very low. What's over here? So I'll make something to eat when I get back. I'm gonna get some more trail mix. Apples. Apples fell out of the tree. A lot of them got smooshed. Splat. Person there with the AC on. Does kind of feel like that, sort of. Not really. I know it was warm upstairs in my bedroom. I put my AC on last night. We'll have 70, 71 downstairs. It was 71 downstairs and it was 80 something upstairs, almost 80. I don't like it when it's warmer than 72. It starts to feel warm. Four and a half miles. I love those sunshine shots. Four and a half miles. Some sun on my face. Yeah, so a lot of people are not having very much sympathy for the shooter that killed Charlie Kirk. I don't have very much sympathy at all for the shooter, but I do for the father and the mother. They had no idea this kid was doing this, I'm pretty sure. Based on information I have now, or I should say we have now. We may find something out later. But this isn't going to be some kind of incident where, you know, a kid got his dad's gun without permission. I mean, this kid wasn't a kid. He was an adult, and he had his own guns. So, nothing extravagant. In fact, the rifle he used is not a very expensive one. Kind of rifle that's been around since the early 50s, and before that 30-06, I think that was a 50s round. There was a Garand rifle that shoots 30-06 and also 308. The military used two different types. I don't know the whole history of those. I'm not an expert in ballistics. But I do know you can get a Mauser in 308 and also 30-06. And that Garand rifles used to shoot 30-06. I think the 30-06 is older than the 308. Right now I'm feeling this walk. It's not quite having enough sleep. Coming up on 5 miles here. I'll make it. Not wearing my usual cargo pants, so I feel a little more constricted wearing jeans. But one thing I know for sure, like always, I'll get to where I'm going. Anyway, somebody yelled out hi at me. Did you hear that? They saw me recording. Which, you know, that can be dangerous if you're wearing a MAGA hat. That's why, you know, for the time being, until I know more, not something I'm going to wear to every part of town I walk in. It's going to depend on what part of town, for one thing. But who's to say any of these cars going by don't slow down and they just shoot me? Or, because I'm carrying a camera, they can tell I'm recording, and they roll the window down and throw a plastic bottle at me or something. I've had things thrown at me before. It hasn't happened for a while. I think the funniest one was this kid. I think he was about maybe 7 or 8 years old, maybe 9. He hit me with a Nerf dart gun. He shot at me going by with a dart gun and hit me with a Nerf dart. Another time, kid threw their toy at me. Some kind of figure or something. I don't remember what it was. Didn't hit me with it. They said something and drove off. I remember that day, it was pouring rain. I was walking in the rain. So we're going to hang a left up here. This is going to be about the time the battery quits. My 6-mile walks on this route, it usually quits just as I get around the corner. And it looks like we're close to that now. So the other thing people were upset about with the shooter's rifle was the scope, claiming it was on there wrong. I did not know there was a correct way to mount a scope. Usually the way you mount the scope depends on how you look through it. Talked about that earlier in the walk. So I didn't finish talking about what I was though. As they had these scope rings, turn the camera around here. They had the scope rings mounted in a certain location, front one and the back one, and then they had the scope in it pulled all the way back to its maximum, and it looked like that the scope would hit somebody in the eye if they shot that 30-06. That's got a lot of kick. I actually know a couple of people, one of them actually cut their eye open because the scope hit him in the face, 30-06. So somebody was talking about that online, saying, look what that scope, and it's like, no, it depends where their focal point is. Yeah, they could have, you know, it's one of those things, in my opinion, you put it on at home, this should be good. And we've done this a million times. Anybody that goes to the range has done this. That's why you got to keep tools in your gun bag. You put on a scope at home, okay, this looks pretty good. I bore sighted it, it'll be close. And then you go to the range, I got to adjust it. So if you don't bring your tools with you to adjust the scope rings, you're just going to loosen them or not, and you have your scope too far back. Could very well be the case also. He might have actually banged the scope on the edge of the rope when it was wrapped in that black cloth, and it wasn't tight in the rings enough. And then so it was shoved all the way to one side, to its maximum. That's what it looks like. It looks like you want your scope in a certain place, so you would loosen the scope rings and you'd move the scope rings to the next notch in the rail, kind of thing. And they didn't do that. They just adjusted the scope itself instead of loosening the rings. So they may have been at the range when they needed to do that, and he was just like, okay, well, that's good enough. I'm hitting what I'm aiming at. So, you know, there's too many things people look into like that. I don't know what they're trying to insinuate, that everything's made up. It's a cover-up. It's a conspiracy. I mean, what are you saying, you know? Whatever the case is, you can see a lot of people really quickly that don't know anything about guns thinking they know something about guns online because they go 3 times a year. Anyway, I gotta change the battery. I'll be right back. So now he's the late, great Charlie Kirk. Still can't believe it. You still think about him and you expect him to still be there, you know? It's really strange. Can't believe he's gone. But he is. Horrible. Friggin' horrible. So we'll wrap up this walk. Oh man. Loud motorcycle. Good news is I've seen a lot of conservatives today honoring Charlie Kirk by not doing what they were saying yesterday. And I'm just talking about the conservatives. Practicing what Charlie Kirk preached: peace, nonviolence. A lot of that rhetoric toned down a lot today. I think a lot of it had to do with who they caught and the fact that somebody was caught. Kind of a sense of closure, maybe. Don't know. But people have taken it down a notch today. Still not happy about it, but they're not saying a lot of the same things. Unfortunately, the left is enjoying this way too much. And really horrible people. That's all that can be said about that. Honestly, I mean, you know, just to think what it takes to be like that, what kind of person you are. Charlie Kirk had a saying, and I've heard him say it. You can tell a lot about people by what they say after somebody dies. And that's what we saw. They rejoiced, they were happy. And the reason why it bothers me is because when Joe Biden was diagnosed with cancer and it spread to his bones, you've heard me on my walk. I don't like the guy, but I told you I would not wish cancer on anybody. Somehow I get the feeling if Trump was diagnosed with cancer, people would be throwing parades, confetti, having a watch party for when he dies. That's the difference between us and them, folks. And that's it right there. One is fucking evil and one is not. This day and age, if you're still a Democrat and you're a liberal, then there's something wrong with you. So that's what I'm going to say about that. It's really terrible people. No other way to say it. There's nothing there to offer anybody anything. And if that appeals to you, then that says a lot about you as a person and your character. And you know, I said a long time ago, maybe 10, 15, maybe even 20 years ago, I'm never going to hate fellow Americans. It's impossible. We're too great a country. Nothing could happen to divide us like that. And, well, where the fuck are we today? Where the fuck are we? If we were an Indian tribe, we would be the where the fuck are we's. See this tree up ahead? Last year, 2 weeks into October, that entire tree was fire red. And it's turning about 2 weeks too soon. And it's not vibrant reds. It kind of looks like a brownish dull. Even in the sun where it's supposed to look its best. I mean, look at that. That's, ugh. That don't look good. I think we're gonna have a crappy foliage season. That's what it looks like to me. Anyways, as soon as we get a hole across here. Yep, I'm feeling this walk today. It doesn't feel bad. It feels like I'm walking 6 miles. And it feels more like 7 today. I'm honest about it. I can feel my knee joints. My hip joints hurt. That friggin' little dog. You better not eat me. So, yeah, you see that car hasn't moved. Has not moved. Migrants live in this building. I've seen people out here working on their cars. One thing I admire about that is they work on their own stuff because they don't have the money. And we used to be like that. Still are on some things. But I remember one day my dad's station wagon, and the transmission just would not go and drive. You'd have to sit there in the wintertime and wait for the car to warm up. And then when the heat radiated into the transmission enough, it would finally shift into drive. And then it was another adventure when you had to leave somewhere and you had to wait for the transmission. So replacing a transmission is very expensive. We paid $400 for the car. And he rented what you need to hoist the transmission and the engine. And he changed it. He just changed it, just did it. He had never done it before. Didn't leak. Got his gaskets right and all that stuff. So you do what you gotta do, right? I remember that. I was like, wow, that's an awful lot of work. But you do what you gotta do. So, hope you enjoyed walking with me today. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. It's a nice day today. It was nice to get out on the highway and drive to the airport. And it was kind of funny because on the way there was probably a good 3, maybe 4 miles of cars backed up because of an accident. And I drove by this trailer truck on the other side going northbound. I was going southbound. And the trailer was up on the road, tilted at an angle with a couple tires messed up. And the tractor was down the hill off the side. It was blocking all the lanes. It's like, yep. And I could see the heavy equipment trying to get through the traffic to get there to move it. So I was like, well, we're not going to come back this way, and we didn't. So anyways, my friends, thank you for walking with me today. Click like and subscribe. Share the content. And say a prayer for Trump and the country. And pray that violence and the kind of Civil War type stuff quells. People have a sane head for longer than a week. I think the same people are going to be yakking again. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, whatever the hell their name is, the friggin' socialist. And so I think Trump should change the tone right now by, I hate to say this, but going at them harder, really stir things up. And I know I shouldn't say that. I'm not encouraging violence. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Trump with the agenda, doing things Charlie Kirk wanted, like stopping the crime in the big cities, which the Democrats don't. And I think Trump ought to do his thing with Chicago. I think he's just waiting for legal verification to see what his legal obligations, do's and don'ts will be. Anyways, my friends, it's going to be interesting. Things are going to get pretty crazy. So, what a time to be alive, huh? So anyways, my friends, say a prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family, his wife and his kids. That's really the important thing. It looks like they're going to be okay financially. He had some money. He's a self-made millionaire. He can go to college. I wouldn't say he was wealthy. Ben Shapiro, on the other hand, he's got $50+ million with Daily Caller. He's made a lot of money. So anyway, there was a GoFundMe for Charlie Kirk's wife that was coming up on, the goal was $1 million. And you know, because the kids they're gonna need college funds, you know what I mean. And they probably have stuff to deal with property, who's in what's name, all that fun, awful stuff she's gonna have to deal with. So that would make it a little easier, right? So anyways, my friends, we'll see you on the next walk. God bless you and your family, and come back now. You're here. You just sound like, what is that, Jed Clampett? Y'all come back now, you hear? Anyways, see you guys soon. Bye bye, my friends.